We are back to Democratic television. We now have our other Democratic candidate running for Tennessee House District 89, Coleen Martinez. Coleen, welcome
Hello,
to Democratic television.
Yes,
thank you
yes.
for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to run for Tennessee 89.
Sure. Well, I'm a wife and a mother of two. My husband, Oscar, is an engineer at Oak Ridge National Labs. My son, Josh, is a sixth grader at Cedar Bluff Middle. My son, Willie, is a fourth grader at Cedar Bluff Elementary School. And did I say my husband works at Oak Ridge National Labs? Okay. And often I've found myself in many of the communities I've lived in, I've been able to work some, but mostly I've volunteered in the community. So currently I've worked as a substitute teacher. I've been a PTA member, chess club director, youth basketball coach, Tennessee Achieves mentor, and Special Olympics volunteer. And even on the campaign trail, I've found more activities to do, such as a fitness trail in Carnes, a fitness court somewhere in Knox County, and an outdoor classroom at Cedar Bluff Middle School. So I look at being a state representative as just doing more things in the community with more resources and more people to help.
You're a busy lady.
Yes.
That's a lot of, those are a lot of activities with the family and everything.
Right.
Well, wonderful.
And I'll go to your second question is why I'm running, is I
Yes.
want to make sure that we're doing everything we can for our children in Tennessee so that they can grow, learn, thrive, and succeed at whatever future that they choose to have. And to do that, I want to make sure we fully fund public education and that we expand Medicaid and that we enact gun safety legislation.
That's fantastic. Those are all things that will definitely help our children and families here in Tennessee.
Right,
Those
I
are
hope
great
so.
platforms. What public policies do you want to implement that will impact all of Tennesseans?
Right, so education is something I think about a lot and research a lot. The BEP, the Basic Education Plan formula, is designed right now not to give us enough money for each school district. And we've heard a lot of politicians that are currently in office talk about the BEP is broken. So we really have to fund the BEP. It was designed not to give us enough money for our teachers and for our staff. Many of the communities in Tennessee have decided to increase their taxes to offset that budget shortfall. What has happened in Knox County is we haven't increased our taxes since 1998, and we are having trouble paying for our education here. But we should do it the right way, where we're fully funding the BEP first and not asking communities to raise their taxes for education. So we need to start with the State House.
Can you help our viewers understand how the BEP is formulated and put together? Is it a state level thing, or is it federal?
State. It's a state. So something that the state came up with, and they've come up with these donor schools and these non-donor schools, and it's a whole complicated thing. And any time I have asked Senator Briggs about it, or county commissioners about it, or our Mayor Burchett about it, they all tell me it's really complicated. So it's obviously too complicated that nobody understands it. So we need to make it less complicated and really start digging into it and making sure we're funding our schools, because we're not.
Right. So you mentioned education and Medicaid expansion.
Yep.
So talk to me a little bit about that.
Right. So that's another public policy. This is something, the money is already here. Actually, we've already been paying for it. We've lost $4 billion in federal taxes that we have all paid. That's all gone to the federal government, or it has gone to other states that have expanded Medicaid. This money is there for us already. So all we need to do is say, yes, we want to expand Medicaid, and then we will start paying for it ourselves from our own tax dollars. That will cover 300,000 Tennesseans who are already working. They're just in low-income jobs. They will be able to have health care. This will stop our rural hospital closures. We have lost 8 rural hospitals due to uncompensated care, and 82% of Tennessee is considered a rural community. And so this has a big impact, these rural hospital closures. And also 72% of Knox County residents want to expand Medicaid. So we are doing what the people are asking us to do.
Yeah. So you're
Yeah.
listening to,
That's
are you
right.
hearing this when you're talking to constituents, when you're out there
I
on the
do.
campaign trail?
Yes, in fact, I knocked on one door and he owns a health clinic, and he said he is just having a lot of trouble paying the bills, paying for his staff, paying for his clinic because of so many people coming there without health insurance.
Yeah.
And so he's having trouble keeping the doors open.
So that's something that our legislature has looked into, and so you would have to come in and kind of negotiate those terms and reverse some policy that. How do you think that we need to get the legislators to understand it and see it from this perspective that we are turning away federal dollars that are in our federal government?
Well, I'll say it's a great thing that you said that. We were listening to John Meacham speak yesterday, and he said that you can listen to somebody say something over and over and over again, and by the 100th time, maybe you'll decide to listen to that person. So I think just continually repeating these things, 300,000 Tennesseans, $4 billion lost in taxes, 8 hospital closures, all the people that are without, to just keep saying it over and over again. But there are definitely people in the State House currently that want to expand Medicaid. And Senator Richard Briggs is one of them. And so I do think if we can change a little bit of the dynamic that's happening in the State House, it's not a super majority, but you have some different parties in there, we become more moderate. And then I think we become more open to having a conversation about expanding Medicaid.
What kind of leadership role would you like to see when you are at the State House level? Are there any particular committees that you would like to be on?
Oh yes, I've always education that's the first thing we talked about. So I would like to be on the education committee so we can look at Tennessee Ready and our standardized testing things that we have going on here, and our curriculum standards, and how we can best support our teachers. Can we give them grants so that they don't have to pocket their own money to buy school supplies? So education, definitely one. And then health. I'd like to be on the health committee to expand Medicaid, but also in my district in particular, we don't have a lot of access to greenways. We don't have a lot of sidewalks and playgrounds and places for people to be physically active outside. And so from a health standpoint, it's not only increasing your access to insurance, but it's also giving you access to be active outside. Yes. So I would like to get more resources into our district so that we can have that opportunity as well.
That's wonderful, yeah, because the more you're exercising, the healthier you are, the less times you have to go to the doctor and be in a hospital. So and people are asking for it. Yeah. People are asking. They say, I would like a sidewalk. Yeah. There are folks in the Pleasant Ridge area that say, I would like a sidewalk to Victor Ashe Park. I mean, you don't always have to drive everywhere. Right. Yeah. But that is a plan, though, to expand Pleasant Ridge. It's just a matter of we need to get them the resources. We need the resources in our district to do that. So I know campaigning can be very grueling, and you probably have some volunteer needs. Can you maybe just tell our viewers how you could use some volunteers and volunteer hours? Definitely. We have a call list, so any phone calls that people can make would be great. 10 a day is really not asking a lot, but you can get down your list pretty quickly that way. And knocking on doors. That is really, I find I like that better than making calls. I get to meet people and talk with them. Yesterday I had an hour-long conversation with some great folks in Carnes, and I love knocking on doors. And it's not something to be scared about. It's just the first couple times you do it, you get used to it, and then you're like, oh, this is not bad, because they're Democratic primary voters, so they're great. Yes. They want you coming out. And I've been out knocking on doors too for the county campaigns, and I know people are so relieved to have that personal connection. Right. And so I think volunteers, the more volunteers we can get out. doing the door knocking. How can people, is there an email address where people can email you if
Yes.
they want to
Yep.
get involved
Mhm.
in the campaign?
It is Martinez, Martinez 89. No, wait, no. Martinez Rep, REP 89 @gmail.com.
Martinez Rep 89
89. So 89th District.
Yep.
Yeah, representative of 89th.
@gmail.com. Well, we know that early voting is beginning on July 13th, which is
Correct.
just around the corner.
Correct.
And so I'm sure you're moving into the get out the vote
Mhm.
efforts.
Mhm.
Is there anything out there that you think, do you have like a meet and greet or anything planned with voters?
No, we have not found very much success yet with meet and greet, just because people in our district, it's a new district, it's only 6 years old, and the seat has been held by the same person in the same party for 6 years.
And he is not running
And he's not running again, right, Roger Kane. And so right now we're still just getting people to know that we have people running in the race. Every door I knock on, they still don't know that I'm running in the race. So I think probably after the primary we'll have more excitement to have meet and greets and to have that type of festivities. But right now it's just it's easier and more cost effective really to just go to each person's door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the issues that you had mentioned at the beginning that are kind of your key issues, you mentioned gun safety.
That's right.
Could you talk to us a little bit more about what you hope to do with gun safety?
I am definitely aware that we are in an NRA state. And so from my perspective, I support the Brady 3-point plan, which is to ban assault rifles and high-capacity magazines, expand background checks to every gun sale, and also enact extreme risk laws where you can take weapons from someone who is in crisis, is what they say. That's obviously like asking for single-payer health care, right, in a place where you're probably not going to get it. So I say right now, let's put anything on the table. Let's talk about age to own a weapon. Should we raise it to age 21? Let's talk about license and permits and registrations and proper gun storage. Like someone broke into a car in Nashville and stole an AR-15 and walked around Nashville with it, right? So we need, and not only do we need to talk about storage, but we need to talk about penalties if you don't store your weapon correctly. So in many of the places I've gone, I've said everything and anything needs to be on the table. I just want to have a voice to it rather than just having one organization have a voice and one party have a voice. Let's everybody have a voice, and let's find compromise so that we all feel safe in our communities, not just schools.
And that compromise is so important because that's how we are going to progress and move forward.
Correct.
Because if we continue to operate in these silos of this is us, this is them, this is what they believe, this is what we believe, then we're not going to make any inroads and move forward. So I think your suggestion of putting all ideas on the table is
and I agree with Roger Kane with wanting to let communities incorporate themselves, and that's something that we're not allowed to do in the legislature. So that's another policy I would look at, because I think Karnes community and Hardin Valley community needs to look into that. And then there's one more. Oh, the UT Focus Act. You know, that's something we can change, put it back to the 26 members that it was on. So, and those are things that the Incorporation Act, that's something Roger Kane wanted to do. And he wants to have more infrastructure resources in our district. So those are ways that those are things that we have in common that maybe we don't know if we're only thinking one party, that sort of thing.
Well, it sounds like you're ready to go out and listen and make some compromise with our existing legislators. And I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with Democratic Television. And just a reminder to our viewers that early voting begins on July 13th. Thank you so much.